What if I told you the biggest threat to your independence after 65 isn't heart disease? It isn't diabetes. And it isn't even cancer. It's something far quieter, far more invisible. And it's happening right now in millions of American homes. It's called sarcopenia, the slow, silent loss of muscle that robs people of their strength, their balance, and eventually their freedom. I've seen it far too often in my nearly 30 years of treating older adults. Strong, capable men and women come into my office frustrated and embarrassed. They used to carry groceries in one trip. Now they struggle with a single bag. They once hopped out of a chair with ease. Now it takes both hands to push themselves up. They used to play on the floor with their grandkids. Now they worry about getting back up again. And here's the part that most people don't realize: this muscle loss doesn't just make life harder. It increases the risk of falls, hospital stays, and losing the ability to live independently. And yet, most of it is preventable. Sarcopenia is not destiny. It's not a natural law of aging. It's a process we can slow down, and in many cases, even reverse. Now, let me ask you this. If I told you the secret weapon against this silent disease wasn't some expensive supplement or complicated workout plan, but something already sitting in your fridge, would you believe me? Because it's true. One of the most overlooked allies in the fight against muscle loss is cheese. Yes, cheese. The very food so many of us grew up believing was off-limits, too fatty, too salty, too indulgent. But when you know which kinds to choose, cheese can shift from guilty pleasure to powerful medicine. It can actually become one of the most effective foods for preserving muscle mass after 65. I'll admit, when I first began recommending cheese to my older patients, some of them looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Cheese? Really? Doctor, isn't that bad for me? But then they tried it. They began adding specific cheeses to their daily meals. And over time, something remarkable happened. Their energy improved. Their balance got steadier. Tasks that used to feel exhausting became manageable again. And the best part, they didn't feel like they were on a strict diet. They were enjoying food they actually liked. In just a few minutes, I'm going to share with you the 3 cheeses I recommend most often. These aren't your average snack cheeses. They're rich in protein, essential amino acids, and nutrients your muscles desperately need. They've been studied in clinical research, recommended quietly by nutrition experts, and proven to make a difference. But before we dive in, I want you to think about something. Imagine yourself 90 days from now. Imagine walking into your kitchen in the morning, grabbing a food you genuinely enjoy, and knowing that it's helping you rebuild your strength one bite at a time. Imagine climbing a staircase without pausing halfway. Imagine saying yes to a walk with your grandchild because you're confident you can keep up. That's what the right kind of cheese eaten in the right way can do for you. So, stay with me, because the next few minutes could change the way you see one of America's most familiar foods. Let's start with a cheese you may remember from diet plans back in the 80s. One that's quietly becoming a powerhouse in the fight against muscle loss: cottage cheese. When most people think of cottage cheese, they picture those old 1980s diet plans, tiny portions of lumpy white curds. Bland and boring. But let me flip that script for you. Cottage cheese isn't diet food. It's muscle food. It's one of the most powerful tools I've seen for helping my older patients rebuild strength when their bodies seem stubborn to change. Here's why. Just half a cup of low-fat cottage cheese gives you about 14 grams of high-quality protein, yet only around 80 calories. Think about that: nearly 70% of its calories come straight from protein. For comparison, cheddar cheese sits closer to 24%. That means cottage cheese is in a whole different league. And it's not just the protein quantity that matters, it's the type. Cottage cheese is rich in casein, a slow-digesting protein. I often tell my patients to imagine casein like a time-release capsule for your muscles. Instead of flooding your system all at once, it delivers a steady stream of amino acids over 6 to 8 hours. That matters especially at night, when your body tends to break down muscle for fuel. A serving of cottage cheese before bed works almost like a shield, protecting your muscle tissue while you sleep. Studies back this up. Research on nearly 1,000 older adults showed daily cottage cheese intake helped preserve and even grow muscle mass over time, particularly during periods of low activity. And here's the part I love: it's incredibly easy to eat. Many seniors tell me chewing steak feels like a chore, or their appetite has faded. Cottage cheese solves that problem. It's soft, creamy, and gentle on digestion. You can eat it straight from the cup, mix it with berries at breakfast, or blend it into a smoothie where you won't even taste it. I've even had patients swap it for mayonnaise in tuna or chicken salad. It boosts protein without sacrificing flavor. For best results, aim for half to a full cup each day. Ideally in the morning when your muscles are most primed for protein after an overnight fast. That one simple change can set the tone for better muscle growth the entire day. But here's the thing: cottage cheese works slowly, like a long burning candle. Sometimes, though, your body doesn't need slow. It needs concentrated nutrition in a tiny package. And that's exactly where our second cheese shines. Most Americans think of Parmesan as that dusty shaker bottle on the back of the pantry. Sprinkle it on spaghetti and forget it. But the real deal, authentic Parmigiano Reggiano, aged at least 24 months, isn't just a flavor booster. It's a nutrient bomb for aging muscles. Here's the shocking stat: just 1 ounce, about the size of your thumb, packs over 10 grams of complete protein. That makes it one of the densest protein sources in the entire dairy aisle. And remember, many older adults naturally eat smaller portions than they used to. That makes Parmesan invaluable tiny servings. Big payoff. But the protein isn't even the most fascinating part. During the 2-year aging process, enzymes naturally pre-digest much of the protein. It's like nature did the hard work for you, breaking it into smaller, gentler pieces. So even if heavy, protein-rich meals leave you bloated, Parmesan often feels surprisingly easy on the stomach. And because it's aged so long, authentic Parmesan contains virtually no lactose, an absolute game changer for anyone who usually avoids dairy. Now, let's talk calcium. Every single muscle contraction in your body requires calcium. Without enough, muscles simply can't fire properly. 1 ounce of Parmesan delivers around 330 milligrams, about a quarter of your daily need. Research shows that older adults who don't meet their calcium needs lose muscle mass faster, no matter how much protein they eat. That means Parmesan checks 2 critical boxes at once: protein to build, calcium to contract. Yes, it costs more than pre-grated shakers. But here's the secret: you don't need much. Just 1 ounce or 2 daily makes a real difference. And when you grate it fresh, the flavor is so rich that a little goes a long way. I tell my patients to sprinkle it over scrambled eggs at breakfast, soups or salads at lunch, or roasted vegetables at dinner. It even works as a satisfying snack: small chunks paired with fruit or nuts. Look for the rind stamped with Parmigiano Reggiano to be sure it's authentic. Now, Parmesan gives you dense nutrition in small bites. But sometimes your muscles don't just need density, they need speed. They need protein that gets absorbed almost instantly, right when your muscles are ready to use it. And that brings me to a cheese with a very different superpower. Ricotta may look soft and humble, but don't let appearances fool you. It's made from whey, the liquid left behind in the cheese-making process. And whey protein is famous for one thing: speed. Unlike casein in cottage cheese, which trickles in slowly, whey hits your bloodstream in 30 to 60 minutes. That timing matters more than you think. Picture this: you just finished a short walk around the block, or you've been out in the garden pulling weeds. In that moment, your muscles are like dry sponges, ready to soak up nutrients, Feed them whey, and they absorb it immediately, using it to repair and grow stronger. A half cup of whole milk ricotta gives you 14 grams of protein, plus a rich dose of branched-chain amino acids, special building blocks that go straight to muscle tissue without detouring through the liver. Add to that the fact that ricotta is naturally low in sodium, around 100 milligrams per half cup, compared to 400 or more in many other cheeses, and you've got a muscle food that also supports heart health. And here's something I see often in my clinic: many older adults struggle with chewing or swallowing. Ricotta's smooth, creamy texture makes it effortless to eat. It blends seamlessly into sweet or savory dishes. Spread it on whole grain toast with honey and cinnamon for breakfast. Mix it with herbs for a protein-rich dip at lunch. Layer it into pasta sauce or stuff it into zucchini for dinner. I've even had patients whip it with cocoa powder and a touch of honey for a healthy chocolate mousse. One study showed that older adults eating about 3/4 of a cup of ricotta daily didn't just gain muscle, they improved their balance and overall physical performance in just 90 days. The men in the study saw especially impressive gains in leg strength. That's not just nutrition, that's freedom regained. Now you know the 3 champions cottage for slow protection: Parmesan for concentrated strength, and ricotta for fast recovery. But let's be clear, it's not only what you eat, it's when you eat it. And the timing could make or break your results. Here's where most people get it wrong. They eat a light breakfast, maybe toast and coffee, then a modest lunch, and finally load up on protein at dinner. I call it the light, heavy pattern. And it's terrible for aging muscles. Why? Because your body can only use about 25 to 35 grams of protein at one time to build new muscle. Eat 60 grams at dinner, and the excess simply doesn't get used. It's like dumping a whole bucket of water on a plant once a day instead of giving it steady sips. The fix is simple: spread protein evenly. Aim for 25 to 30 grams at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. This one shift alone has been shown in research to dramatically improve muscle protein synthesis in older adults. That's where our 3 cheeses come in handy. Imagine starting your day with cottage cheese and berries, plus an ounce of grated Parmesan on scrambled eggs. That's over 24 grams of high-quality protein before you've even left the house. At lunch, swap mayonnaise for ricotta in your sandwich spread, and add Parmesan over a salad. That's another 25 grams. Dinner could be your regular protein entree: chicken, fish, or beans with Parmesan-topped vegetables or ricotta-blended pasta sauce. Suddenly, without supplements, you've hit the optimal protein range across your entire day. And here's the kicker: activity multiplies the effect. Even 15 minutes of walking, gardening, or resistance band exercises makes your muscles hungrier for protein. Eat cheese within 2 hours after moving, and your muscle-building response skyrockets. Scientists call this synergy. The results are greater than the sum of their parts. You don't have to live in the gym. Just 2 to 3 sessions of light resistance exercise per week, combined with daily protein, can trigger what researchers call a youthful muscle response, even in people over 80. That's the power of timing plus nutrition. But as with anything in medicine, there are caveats. And before you start piling cheese onto every meal, you need to know the safety details. I always tell my patients food is powerful, but it has to fit your health profile. If you're lactose intolerant, start small. Parmesan is virtually lactose-free, and ricotta is often well tolerated. Cottage cheese has more. But low lactose versions exist, and lactase supplements can help. If you have high blood pressure, watch sodium. Parmesan naturally runs higher. Cottage cheese varies widely by brand, and ricotta is the lowest. Always check labels. Low sodium versions exist and can make a big difference. Concerned about cholesterol, recent large studies show cheese, in moderation, doesn't raise heart disease risk in most people, but portion control is key. Choose part-skim ricotta or low-fat cottage if that's a priority. If you're on blood thinners like warfarin, keep your intake consistent day to day, since cheese contains vitamin K, and if you have kidney disease, talk to your doctor before making major protein changes. Safety first. Always. Now, with those guardrails in place, let's put everything together into a simple, practical plan you can start tomorrow morning. So, let's bring this all together. We've talked about 3 simple but powerful foods that can make a life-changing difference after 65 cottage cheese with its slow-release casein that protects your muscles while you sleep. Parmesan with dense protein and calcium that fuels strength and function, and ricotta with fast-acting whey that repairs muscles right after activity. Together, these 3 cheeses form a daily toolkit to fight muscle loss and protect your independence. And this isn't just about nutrition, it's about your future, about carrying groceries with ease, climbing stairs without fear, gardening on a sunny afternoon, or picking up your grandchild with confidence. No matter if you're 65, 75, or even 85, small daily changes practiced consistently can deliver powerful results in just a few months. I've seen it happen time and again in my clinic. One of my patients, a 72-year-old woman who swore she hated cottage cheese, finally agreed to try half a cup at breakfast and a little Parmesan on her lunch salad. Within 2 months, she noticed she wasn't as tired walking up the stairs. By the 90-day mark, she told me she could lift her grandchild without hesitation. That's the kind of transformation we're talking about, simple foods making real, measurable differences. My advice to you is the same: start small and start today. Add half a cup of cottage cheese to your breakfast. Grate a little Parmesan over your soup or vegetables, and try a spoonful of ricotta after your evening walk. Do this for 90 days, and notice the changes not just in your strength, but in your energy, your balance, your mood, even your confidence. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. This channel is here to guide you, to keep you motivated, and to share the latest science-based health tips that really work for aging strong. If this video was helpful, save it so you can come back to it when you need a refresher. Hit the like button, that way more people will discover this information. Subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when new videos come out. And now, I'd love to hear from you. Which of these 3 cheeses are you most excited to try first? Cottage, Parmesan, or ricotta? Drop your answer in the comments. I read everyone, and your feedback helps me create the content you care about most. Because here's the truth: your health, your strength, and your independence matter. I care about them, and I know you care too. I'm here to help you protect them, one smart choice at a time. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Here's to your future, a future where you stay strong, confident, and in control, no matter your age. And remember, it's never too late to get stronger. Your future self will thank you for every step you take today.